All right, Coach Sis, we are live today for our Wellness Wednesday.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wellness Wednesday. How
Yeah.
is everyone doing? I hope everyone is feeling good and feeling blessed.
Some sun is
These,
starting to come out a little bit.
yes, all the weather is getting real beautiful. Especially over here in Texas.
I
We
want to
we
say
got
that where you are, yeah.
we getting real summer vibes here.
Yeah, not so much up here on the northeast coast, New England. It's like, it doesn't know what it wants to be. It's
Right,
it's all of the sunshine and pollen that comes with spring. You
right, yeah,
understand? But it's
right,
still like, 40-degree mornings and
yeah,
you still got
yeah,
to wear the hoodie when you go outside. But there's been a couple of days where it's been really nice. Like, it's been in the high 70s,
yeah.
and it'll be feeling kind of nice. But it hasn't been consistent. It's been like one day out the week or a couple of days out the week, and then after that it's a little cold. So waiting
Right.
for it to stabilize. And the longer that I'm up here, honestly, says, because you're from this area,
Yes.
the longer that I'm up here, the more I'm like, I think this is just how New England does
Oh, yeah.
spring. Okay.
Yes, it is. That's exactly how New England is. It won't get like real summery until probably like the end of May, June.
And then it's like, bam. Then it's
Right.
like,
Then
bam, it's
it's
summer.
gonna smack y'all right in the face.
It's summer. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I miss my southern summers.
Oh
Oh,
my goodness.
look,
Right,
you're
because
you're down
waking up
there,
in the
my
morning,
side of the
it's like
world.
70 degrees in the morning. It's 70 degrees now.
I
So
already know. Oh, you ain't gotta tell me nothing. I already know. I already know how it is. I'm from Louisiana, but I used to live in Texas when I was a
right.
kid for like, I
Yeah.
don't know, a year or a year and a half, 2 years, something like that tops. And yeah, so I'm a Southern girl. I know what
Oh yes.
these Southern summers feel like. They, ain't no spring. Ain't no
Right.
spring.
There's no spring.
I didn't
I
have no
think we were
allergies.
spring for like a week.
I didn't have no spring allergies in the
No.
South. Like, can I be
Right.
real with you? Like, but here, good God. Okay. Anyway, all right. So we're talking about bouncing back from burnout.
Bouncing back from burnout. And I know that like we already know what burnout is, because I know we've all experienced it. And so I've been hearing so many stories over the past 2 weeks of people just like go, like since the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. I don't even think that anybody has took a pause from last year into this incoming year because everybody has all these like goals. They're like, new year, I'm ready to just like tap into this new
Them goals
me
will
of
get you, won't they? Them
yes,
goals will
like
get you.
I really just want to like figure out who the new me is, and even myself, because I'm like, what, I got all these goals. I just want to
We talked
get
about we talked
into them.
about this, right? We talked
Right?
about this. You can't have a million goals and then
No,
focus on all of them, right?
no, you can't.
Cannot
Nope.
do. I was just watching, there's that interview um between Oprah and Michelle Obama. It was for
Oh yes.
Michelle Obama's new book, right?
Yep.
She was
Yep.
doing this book tour, and so they had, I guess this was like the final interview, and it was Oprah doing the interview. And they said something like, it was something like, you can't have everything at the same time, or you can't
Right.
have everything all
Right.
in once. But I'm going to take that, right, and put a
Mhm.
little spin on it, because I think this is very much so true for
Yep.
creating new habits, for
Yes.
having goals. You cannot do everything all at once. And for whatever reason, it is like human nature, or it seems to be human nature. I have not had a client or a friend
Hmm.
who has had a million goals, who has not tried to just do them all at once, who has not, when I said focus on one goal at a time, girl,
Right. Yeah.
has been like, okay, I hear you. But in actuality, what do? You
You
tackle
still
all
do
of
it.
those at once.
You still do it.
It always
Exactly.
happens. It always, and
Exactly.
I know I'm not really one to talk, because I got, but if you realize, right, over the course of the years that we've known each other, I have narrowed down and
Right.
just put it
Exactly.
all into one thing. I'm like, you have to put your
Right.
energy into one thing. It takes time to
It
reach your
takes
goal.
time. Exactly. It really does. And the thing about it is, like with burnout, is when we start to try to do too much, right? Because the thing about it, there's nothing wrong with like multitasking and having all these goals. It's all about flexibility. And we're going to talk about like the three like, how the 3 tools, like, of how you can actually, bounce back from the burnout. Because I think that a lot of times when we feel the burnout, we're like, okay, I'm burnt out. Now I'm emotionally and mentally just going to withdraw from everything. Right.
Yeah, when I'm
Like,
burned
I'm
out,
just
I
going to
can't
leave
do
my goals
anything.
on the table and just walk away from it all.
When I'm
Like,
burned out, I can't do
I
anything.
can't do
Like,
anything,
I
you
can't
know?
even think. You ever go to
Right.
a place where it's like you can't
Yes.
even think? You're like,
You think.
what am I doing today?
Right.
What's
Exactly.
happening today? You're
Yep.
literally holding on for dear life.
Exactly. And it affects not only just like you personally, like your goals and the things that you want to do, but it affects the people around you. So if you have a family, if you have even your friends, like, especially like if you're, in tune with your friendships, it affects that too. Any relationship, it's going to affect
Mhm.
that. It's going to affect the things that you're connected to,
Come on now.
So it's important to like really recognize. We first have to recognize when we're even inching into the burnout phase. Some people don't even know that. They don't
Yeah,
even know
like
that
what
they're
are the signs?
inching.
Or when
Yeah,
you're used to working or
exactly.
operating in this
Yes,
kind of like
yeah,
with that burnout energy, you're like, I'm just
exactly.
pulling through,
Yes,
and people are just used to that. And
yes,
like you said, have no idea.
exactly. And I could give my own real life, testament to that. And Brandon, because I was getting there. I moved from
Yes.
when I was living in Massachusetts. I was fueling off of burnout. Like, that's it. That was my life. Burnout, sis. You might as well call me that. That was literally my life. I did
Hashtag burnout
everything like
sis.
#burnout, sis. I'm telling you, like, that was my life. That's how I operated. And I was so unhappy, like
Yeah,
happy in like other places, but like within
right,
myself, there was no
right.
balance. There was no time to like create like the time for myself and just like focus on like, okay, what do I need to do self-care wise? Like, it was
Yeah,
just go, 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 go. Like,
yeah.
saying yes to
Well,
everything.
what brought you to that though? Because I'm gonna say something, but I'm really curious. Like, what do you think motivated you to just go, 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 go? Because
I
I
wanted to,
also sometimes have that disease.
yeah,
Go,
I
go, go,
know.
go, go.
And I think it's just like that, like having the desire, like, and I was watching a video and he talks about it. He said something, right? He
Mhm.
said that, when we talk about our aspirations, and I wrote
Okay.
it down because we
Okay.
have big aspirations, right? We have big
Mm,
aspirations. And a lot of times we want to do every single thing. Like, we want
yeah.
to be the best mom, the best wife, girlfriend, partner, spouse, whatever we want to do all that, but we also want to have like be the best business owner, the best employee, whatever it is that we do, but we do it like 10 times more on top of adding all the other stuff that we're trying to do to our lives. But
Right.
then it turns into stress, right?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely turns into stress. So I think like what was happening for me is that all the things that I was passionate about, and that's what he was saying, like the
Mm,
things that we are like our aspirations are connected to our heart desires. And your
okay.
heart desire is what's like causing you to do more and want you to like,
Yeah.
like inch towards like, oh, you know what? Because I love this, let me try that. And because I tried this and I love that, let me try
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
like my heart desire just started growing more and more and more till I could not even, I didn't have enough room.
Yeah.
I
That's
didn't have enough room. And then it turned, so all my
that
passions
sounds familiar.
eventually started to turn into stress. And I'm just like, oh, wait a minute. Do I actually love what I
Oh,
do?
wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute.
It's like, do I actually love what I'm doing now? And that's
Mm,
that's when it starts to be. And I loved my job. I loved what I was doing. Let me say that.
right.
I
Right.
loved the type of work what I was doing, but I did not like my job. I hated it.
Yeah, nobody likes a job, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's a job that feels like a job where
Right.
you micromanage or a job where
Yes.
you like you have to do this, especially
Yes.
those of us who enjoy our freedom, right? That's one
Right.
of the things that will lead to my burnout
Hmm.
is when I got to do things for somebody else that
Right.
is not really jiving with like my goal. Like my goal is over here, but what
Right.
you want is right here, but I gotta do that. And that's like a detour from where
Exactly.
I gotta go, that right there will burn me out if I'm doing work for other people. The other thing too is that, I guess, and this goes right hand in hand with that. If I'm not doing work that I feel like is aligned with my purpose, it's going to burn me out.
Right.
It takes
It's
more
gonna burn
energy
you
for me to
out.
do something, especially
Exactly.
now that, we know this is our God-given purpose, right? Like
Exactly.
it took some years now, it took some
Yep.
decades now to get to the
Right.
place where you're like, okay, it all makes sense now. This is what I'm here to do. And so now you say everything that I'm going to do is right here in this
Yeah.
lane. And if it's
Exactly.
outside of that lane, it takes me some energy to get back on track.
To get back on track. Exactly. And so that's what he was talking about, is like that, your aspirations,
Mm-hmm.
he was saying like making sure that your aspirations are connected to really what your heart desires, but making sure that
Yes.
that's what he said, making sure that they're aligned
Yeah.
with, what is it that you're really trying to do? Because it's so easy to get like to jump off of certain things, like I went to this wealth building event this past weekend,
Okay.
and I learned so much information. But at the same time, I was like, what does this have to do with what it is that I'm trying to do? And I learned so much when I'm like, okay. And I started to make the connection, because at first I'm like, do I really need to go to this? Why do I need to go to this? What's the benefits of going to this? But then I
Right.
started to realize, like, no, this is beneficial, because at the end of the day, like, we are learning financial things in the
Yeah. Yeah.
world
Yeah.
is important. Like, there's so many things that we need to learn, and so many things that we could bring back into our community that we're doing.
Exactly.
You know,
But of course it is something
exactly,
that matters, because we live
exactly,
in, first of all, we live in a country that is
okay,
capitalist.
exactly,
For one, you got to know, listen, regardless of what your opinion is on capitalism, you have
right,
to know the rules to play the game, and whether or not
exactly,
you like it or not, this is the game that we're in. So
exactly,
if you're going off and you're saying, all right, listen, this is my passion, this is my purpose, but in order to do that fully, what do you
right.
need? You need to be able to understand finance, because you still got to pay your bills.
You still got to pay your
Not be
bills.
stressed. You still got to take care of the
Exactly,
basic needs.
right,
A
exactly,
lot of those, unfortunately, you gotta pay a little something. You gotta
right.
stop your finances a little something in order to feel comfortable and confident in in your livelihood being
And
taken
you
care
exactly, exactly. And so he talked about, like, just making sure that, your aspirations are aligned with what it is that you're trying to fully do, but
of. Mhm.
just making sure that, you don't go off on this tangent of, like, because that's how you get to burnout again. You're trying to bounce back from the burnout. So in order to do that, you got to do a reassessment, like, okay, what are my goals? Are they aligning with what I'm doing? And then he talks about integration, that balance, right? Like, what is it that I'm doing? Is it gonna balance out with everything
Mhm.
else that I have going on? Is it gonna balance out with the fact that I'm a mom? So if I'm a therapist and I'm trying to learn, this, and I have these businesses going on, is this still gonna fit into the fact that I'm a mom? I have a whole
Right.
family, you
Right.
know, like, I
You
need to
might
make
have
sure.
you might be still working your regular job while you're building a business, while you're
Exactly,
a mom, while you're
exactly.
right. And that's real life.
Right.
That's real life.
Exactly. And knowing, like, how to make sure that what's priority, like,
Mhm.
and having that flexibility and knowing, like, okay, well, because a lot of times, this is why I really enjoy working from home, and I make my own schedule. Because
Yeah.
if I didn't make my own schedule, then I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm able to do. I wouldn't be able to, if I had an
Have
emergency with my son.
that time freedom,
Exactly.
that time
I
freedom.
wouldn't be able to just do the things that I'm able to do. But being able to integrate that balance and telling yourself, like, you know what, I also need to take a break, like, I
Right.
need to let myself know, like, okay, I know that I'm doing this, and that, but bingo, I feel myself, like, getting into that burnout. I can see I see the little smoke rising. Let me take a break. Today's the day I
Yeah.
take a self-care day.
Yeah.
And
And
I
I
think
think
that's the
that,
problem.
yeah, I think that time freedom is so important. But I have a question for you. We never talked about what the signs and symptoms are of burnout. Like, how can somebody recognize that they are in burnout? What would you tell them? Anybody
Well,
who
I can tell you
everybody's
definitely.
like still confused, like, well, am
Right.
I burnout or am I not? What does that look like? So let talk to the people.
So for one, like I think like the obvious one of it is like mood change for sure. You
Okay.
know, like that's the most
Mhm.
obvious one because when you know that you're in burnout, you start to it could be a number of different emotions that come about. But I know for one, you start to shut down
Mm,
because you don't even want to do it anymore. You
yeah.
just knowing that you have a lot that you need to do, you won't do it. You
Yeah.
just shut down. You may isolate. Or on the other side of it, you start like overdoing it. Like,
Mm,
like you're doing too much. I have someone who just recently who is experiencing this to the point that they're like almost in like manic mode, like
okay. Okay.
almost in manic mode to the point where it's like because I know that I need to do this, and even though I'm experiencing burnout, I'm about to make sure that everything is aligned, like to have a routine, but it's
Mhm.
like over planning. Like let me make
I
sure
feel
all.
like I feel like I know people like this. I feel like I work with people like
Oh
this.
yes, yeah,
In my day job and stuff. And it's yeah, it's not healthy, right? Where I
it's
look at
not
that, I'm like,
healthy.
how many emails? Like I looked, I looked at my emails from my from my job. Oh, God bless like the ability for me to
I'm
do,
telling you,
this work, but but still working. I looked and it was like 20 emails in a row popped up with the same name. And I'm like,
yeah,
about different things, about
about
different things.
different.
Because
Yep,
I think what you're saying is like they, it's like, yeah, like you said, over planning. Okay, I got to do
over.
this. I'm doing this, and I'm
Yep,
doing this, and then they draw everybody else into
goes
it.
into it.
I
Yes,
find myself
yep,
being like, emotionally drained because
yes,
this person is burned out,
exactly.
emotionally drained. They want to
Yep,
take it down with them on a sinking ship, and
yeah,
you're like,
and it's too much. You
is
and then
there
you
such thing as email abuse? Is that is that a
listen. I'm
term?
telling you, it's really and it is. It's very. It's real. Okay,
That's what it
it's
looks
real.
like in the
It
workplace. I
is.
feel like too
Oh
when
yeah,
you
definitely in the workplace is real because the thing about it is because they're so overwhelmed and overworked that
Yep.
now they kind of like they're putting their feelings on you.
Mhm.
They're projecting them feelings on you, and they're like, and without even really telling you that they're overworked and over planning, they planning for stuff that ain't even been talked about yet. So it's just
Right. Or
like,
planning for things that you be planning about. And you like, what's happening?
right.
What's going
It's
on
like,
here?
and then the thing too is like sometimes like I think about like the parents, like, yeah, you're overworked and you're burnt out from your job, but even burnt out from family issues, right?
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
know what that feels like because I've been through that. Where because I'm the family therapist, but I quit being a family therapist a long time ago. So
Okay. You said you don't work with families anymore. Only
no,
only
I quit from
individuals,
being
y'all.
my
The
family.
family,
I
y'all
quit.
stressing her out.
I quit from being my family therapist because they would
That's
not
all
burn
right.
me out. I ain't doing it no more. But I know what it feels like to be burnt out from my own family for the simple
Yeah.
fact that, 1 second. Okay. For the simple fact that, I know what it feels like where, they know that they're stressing me out, but they don't care. They don't
Right.
care. They just want me to help them. They just want me to
Right.
help them. So my
That
thing
good for
was,
you.
hey, I
And
had
you
to
feel
let
like
them
you
know, I had
have
to
to
set
have
those
that space.
boundaries. I had to
Yeah.
set those boundaries with them and say, hey, I can't help y'all. I love y'all. But
Mhm.
here's what you can do. Here's the resource of what you can do. I have other people that can help y'all because I can't do it, you know and the thing is like the thing about it is a lot of times family will feel offended if you say things, do things, or disconnect from them in a certain way. It's like, I'm not saying I don't want to be your family anymore. I'm just saying that I can't help you in this way anymore for the
Mhm.
simple fact that it's not beneficial to me. it's an
Right.
emotional it's an emotional drain to me for the simple fact that I still have to show up for my own family here,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right. So you
So
want to be
then,
able
because
to
what
have
happens is
those boundaries.
you start showing those emotions to your own family, and they ain't even do nothing. you know,
They're like, come on, what? We didn't do anything to you. Why are you
it's like,
treating us
wait a minute,
like this?
Right,
And I'm
like, right.
saying that's
Okay, you had
heartbreaking
something happen
too.
with your own family, and now you bringing that home. It's like, listen, no, it can't. That can't
And
happen.
then how it comes full circle is that,
Yeah,
you want him to be the best parent you could be.
be
You
the
wanted to
best.
be the best spouse you could be. You wanted to be
Right,
the best whatever. You had all of these goals. And now you feel like a failure, right? Like how many
right.
people, like moms, you hear that say that, like, dang, I feel like I'm a bad this, I'm a bad that,
Right.
because they weren't able, because they didn't create the boundaries that they needed to create. They got burned out. They're burned out from everything else. And then they don't
Yeah.
show up as their best self,
Right.
and then they take that and they internalize it in a way that's
Exactly.
unhealthy for them. So
Exactly.
let's shift gears and go to how to bounce back. Because
So
that's what we all want to know. How do we bounce
yes,
back? We know we're feeling crappy. We haven't been our best selves. The stress of the world is upon us from all different kind of angles. Adulting is just, is adulting, right? Is doing what it does.
yes.
So
And
what do we
so
do?
the thing about that is like, so one of the biggest things that we must understand to do is one of the biggest things that we must understand to do is like when our phones, right? If our phone is about to die, we have to charge it. If our phone is on 5% and we're like, you know what? Oh my God, I gotta hurry up and send this message. Oh my God, if I don't do this, my phone's on 5%. What's the first thing we do? We grab the charger, right? We
Mhm.
gotta plug that phone in and charge it. And that's the
I
only
like
thing
that.
that we really think about. It was like, oh my God, my phone's about to. Some people don't even care if their phone died. They like when their phone be dead, right? But if you think about that in the
I'm
natural sense,
done.
like,
I'm in the
right,
bed for a week.
right,
Self-care day.
yes. And
Self-care.
honestly, it's okay to do that. Like I have a life coach, and
I love
one of
self-care.
the biggest things that she tells me to do is unplug. She was like, it's okay to unplug. You can unplug. You don't have to talk to nobody. She said, put your phone on do not disturb. Because she was like, turn your phone off sometimes. I'm like, I don't want to turn my phone off.
Yeah,
She was
sometimes.
like, okay, if you don't want
Listen,
to turn your phone off, then at least put it on do not disturb. I'm like, okay, I can put my phone on do not disturb. That's better. Like, you
disappear for
know,
the world for a little bit, and that's why I'm such an advocate of retreats, the
yes,
ones that I'm hosting and also the ones that I go on. Like I'm going on a silent Raja Yoga meditation retreat this weekend. I'll
yes,
be
I
at the
love
retreat.
that.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. And I think like the thing that's important is making sure that you can do that for yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard sometimes, right? So if you can't like fully unplug, at least give your chance a time to recharge, recharge in a different way, whatever that looks like. So like I was saying, like when we feel like when it looks like our phone is dying, we have to plug it up because we have to charge it. And I think, and that's what's the most important thing that we have to do for
Yeah.
ourselves as individuals who are experiencing burnout. In order to bounce back from that, we need to rejuvenate ourselves. We need to practice self-care. We need to plug ourselves in and charge. Like a lot of times we unplug to recharge, really. It's
Yeah.
unplug to recharge, so we can actually give ourselves the battery, the power we need to get back, not to go back and do the same thing over again. Not to
Okay.
go back and that's what I was saying. I found myself like once I got to Texas, I found myself getting back into. I'm like, okay, I just finally unplugged. I recharged from everything that was in Massachusetts, those old habits, those things that I used to do that created the burnout. I am not bringing that to Texas. And in the first, like, 6-9 months, I felt so light. I was good. And then
Mm.
slowly but surely, I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is too easy. I feel too light. I got to do something else. Nope, let me add this on.
How we
Oh,
doing?
I need
And
something else to do. Let me add this on.
that's where you find yourself getting into them problems because
Yes,
you want to be in I'm talking about you, Coach
right.
Cicely.
Yes.
You like to be in, oh yeah, sign me up for that.
Sign
Sign
me
me
up
up
for
for
this.
this.
Sign me up
Yeah,
for
I
that.
can do that. Sign me up for this, right?
Right.
To the point where I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna not be with us anymore.
I was like, you know what? And then what happened? I was like, you know what? I quit. I'm quitting everything.
Mhm. But what,
Right.
but we had the conversation, right? And I was like, you have to do what you need to do.
Right.
Follow your intuition
Right.
and
Right.
you know what I'm saying? You have to listen to the universal signs. And sometimes that helps me also recharge from the burnout where I just say, hold up. let me take a couple steps back. There's a larger network of energy out here. Let me, and and I go in, and that's a part of my method, right? I go in order to make sure that I'm connected with the outward world. Let me go in a little bit. Let me just be still a little bit. Just be, because that is so different from, that is opposite from how we live our day to day, or me, right? How I live my day. I'm from one thing to the next and always busy. So for me to always say like, okay, I need to get back to the middle, to the center, to the grounding, and get back in. Let me be still. Let me be silent. And you will be amazed with how some of this, like this weight just starts to shed off of you. So when you come out of that, you're back into the world and you're like, I ain't phased.
Right. Exactly.
It's a useful thing. To me, it's been life changing. That's why I teach it and talk about it so much, because it has been life changing in terms of experiencing burnout. And when I go back to those places of being burnout, I go back and I check myself and I say, let me take some time to be still and to be and to be silent. And of course, other people, maybe you are praying, or maybe you're doing something else, right, in order to kind of get back a little bit focused. And I tend to do a combination of things, but just the benefit of just being still and
being still. Exactly. And I love that, because someone was just telling me recently, like they're so attracted to like water, and they were experiencing like this feeling of burnout. And I'm like, I want you to take this time to do some mindfulness this weekend. So they said that, okay, they're like, okay, I live by like some water, I'm going to go do that. And they did it. They was like, I sat there for hours, and I was just like, and then I'm like, okay, I'm like, you know what you did? I'm like, you just unplugged. They said they left their phone in the house, and they said by the time they went back in the house, everybody was like worried, calling their phone, worried. I said, that's good. I'm like, let them worry. They'll be okay. I'm like, you fine though, right?
She disappeared into the, or they disappeared into that
with
no phone.
Okay, disappeared into that stillness. Yes, but that's to the point, like that's something that the water been there that whole time. They said they don't even go there, but it's like now it's like that's a part of their routine now. And I'm like, see what I mean? I'm like, it's okay. You unplug for those few hours. I'm like, even if you don't got to unplug the whole day if you don't want to, but the fact that you got so lost in that mindfulness, and you got so lost in that, like that stillness that you're saying, that you forgot all about your phone, you forgot about everybody, and you came out of it and you was like, oh, you know what? I forgot that I even lived over here.
Right. Or I never paid attention to sometimes you can be in the same environment, and then you just start opening up your eyes and your perspective a little bit more. And you can say like, oh, wow, I recognize, a new thing, a new path, a water over here, a rock over here that brings me joy, a crystal that's like, like there's so many different things, or just the sky. Wow. Have you ever looked at the sky? And it sounds silly because it's like, these are things like we pass by them every day. Sometimes a rock is a rock, but if you look at it and, with curiosity and amazement, it can take on new life and new energy. And I think that I think that can transfer to also people, right? People to people. Like, okay, we talk all the time, but maybe today I see something new, right? So you can see the new in the old, right? And that's fascinating. And that opens up, I think, a little bit more excitement and enjoyment in life that can also help to lift you out of, a bad burned out state where you're like, oh, wow, actually, I'm gonna take a different perspective on this.
Right. Exactly. So I'm encouraging everybody, to take that time to, unplug, recharge, if you feel like it's something that you really need to do. And it's if you're starting to feel like you're entering into that burnout phase where you're like, you know what, I need a break. I need to, take the time now, like don't wait until it's, you done already got to the end of it. And you're like, you know what, I'm about to crack. Or because what people say is like, you know what, one more thing, and that's gonna be it for me. Like, no, don't let it be one more thing. Don't let it be one more thing. Handle it now therefore, if that one more thing happens, you approach it differently now. You have a different perspective on it. You handle it differently. You can say, you know what, like, okay, this situation happened at work. This situation happened at home. This situation happened with my kids. Instead of me like disappearing, acting out of anger, acting out of hurt, I'm gonna respond to it this way because I took a break. I unplugged. I was able to recharge because I didn't allow like the burnout of stress or, you know, just not being able to have flexibility or just the idea of allowing like life to get in my way, you know, take over. So definitely take that time to unplug, recharge, take a break, sit in that stillness, practice some mindfulness, and you'll be able to bounce back from the burnout.
I love all of that. This word is coming into my head, so I want to make sure to share it. In yoga philosophy, we talk about detachment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I want to differentiate that detachment is not the same as dissociation.
Right. It's not.
Right. So I want to because, you know, when I started going to like, I mean, I've been kind of like this my whole life, but when my partner was like, oh, you're going here and there and everywhere all the time. And she's like, I think, are you running away from something? Right. That was like the question. Are you running away from something? True. I don't want to be over here in New England. Right. It's true. I don't, but we're here and it's okay. And we travel. And so it's all right. You know, right. But she's like, are you running away from something? And I'm like, no, I'm not. This is like the necessary part of my healing. Right. Right. Now, the dissociation is like, I'm here, but I'm not here. Detachment is like, I'm here, but I'm not impacted by what's happening around.
Yes.
Two different things.
Two different things. Yes.
So, and so also I think be mindful of when, you know, people who are watching this, when you, and for us too, right? Like we're not above this, but like when we are dissociating, right? When we come back and we're like, oh, okay, all right, we're back to it. We're still impacted by like what's going on, but we're not really there.
Right.
To detach is a practice. That's a practice art form, right?
Yes.
How am I here, but not of here? How am I in this storm, but not being thrown to and fro by the wind? Right. I'm not being smacked in the face by the debris. It's still happening. It's still coming my way, but I'm like Neo in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Dodging it. It's not touching me. I see it, but I'm like, I'm good.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm able to stand my ground and still be here. That's the practice. And these tools are how you do it. It's how I think, you know, you avoid the burnout, or if you experience it, because I feel like it might be, is it natural? Is it natural to experience burnout as humans?
Right. Yeah.
It is, right?
Yes, it definitely is.
Natural, right? So, so it's like, if it's going to happen, how can we bounce back? And these are the tools. So thank you for sharing all the tools. I always appreciate our conversations because I always come out of it feeling like affirmed.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Not alone.
A lot of these things, like these are things that I've been through, we've been through. So it's like, you know, it's important that, you know, we recognize like, okay, this is something that I know I've experienced, you know, so to be able to share that with others is important.
Absolutely. All right.
Yes.
Well, shoot. I think I'm looking at the time. I'm like, dang, I think we done, I think we can wrap it up.
Yes. I hope everyone has a wonderful Wellness Wednesday.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Coach Sis. And bye, everybody. Listen, join the Dollar Growth Club. If you are not already a member, dollargrowthclub.com. And for everybody who is a member in Dollar Growth Club, do we have anything that they need to be doing or that they need to be working on for this week?
Definitely practicing some self-care. Recognize,
go do something for yourself.
Go do something for yourself. I ask people all the time, what do you do for self-care? And people they don't have it. They don't. So it's important to ask yourself, like, what do you like to see yourself doing for yourself at least one day out of the week? I have
Yeah.
one day. And I was just telling someone, it's not like every Sunday, it's not every Wednesday, because I realize my days change often, but
Right.
at least one day out of the week, you should devote that time to yourself, whatever that looks
Like
like.
it.
Yep.
I like it. For our upcoming challenge, we have the Radiant New Moms Challenge happening on Monday. So that's Monday, May 15th through the 17th. And we are focusing on, because I know that new moms get better. I haven't had the personal privilege of becoming a new mom, but I have a whole bunch of nieces and nephews. I got a goddaughter.
Yes.
I've been around, I work with kids. I've been around a whole, so, in a lot of ways, I'm a part of the motherhood village, even though I haven't had my own seed. But new moms get burned out.
Yes.
A
Oh,
lot.
yeah.
A lot.
Definitely.
And I'm recently around a whole bunch of new moms. I think because I was joking with Dr. Ness about this. I think it's because the pandemic, everybody got
Yep.
their little time in
Yeah.
over the pandemic. So now there's like a bunch of new babies popping up. And so I'm around a bunch of new moms, but being tired all the time, not having sleep and, lacking all that energy and just being burned out. And then also feeling like, who am I now? Right. Like a little bit of an identity crisis, a little bit like who am I? You look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I don't even look like I used to look. You be like, I ain't even working out. You know what I'm saying? And like getting used to embracing that. So those are the two things that we're going to be focusing on. How do you just give you some self-care and love, as a new mother? And how do you increase your energy and figure out when you're going to find time to sleep and all of that stuff? So we'll be doing that, and also throwing in very low key exercises in there as well that can work on like your pelvic floor, your core muscles and things like that will help your body bounce back.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. So if you know anybody, if you're a new mom and you're out there, if you know anybody, Coach says, please, people.
Yes.
In this way, the challenge is free.
Yes.
The challenge is free. And so I'll put the link into our description here so that you can go ahead and bounce on that opportunity this Monday, the Monday after Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers and the mother figures out there. And happy Mother's Day to you too, sis.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. We're going to hop off of this call. But all right, happy Wellness Wednesdays to everybody. And then we'll see you next week.